Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there is a change on the Sentinel side for sure. Doesn't look like no changes at all, actually. Yeah, so we're pretty much as expected in terms of compositions. Obviously, coming out of the result versus Heretics, maybe feeling like it maybe wasn't a comp issue on the attack, and maybe we do see a complete change to the macro, the approach.
I still think
Angel did say
put in Shao, like having Fade and Astra in this composition and not putting Shao on the Fade, to me is a mistake, but of course, NAVI is their decision to do whatever they want. But coming into this third map with a Giant X, this still has to be finding a win in this split. After the first map that we saw, after them performing that comeback, I really wonder how their mental is.
I mean, the mental's got to be good. It has to be. All things considered, a win is a win, right? And especially if you're a team like Giant X, you take them where you can.
Yeah, and I mean, they did take that. Ultimately, they went on to lose the series, but probably not talking about that.
It all starts with a map win, Zoe. It all starts with a map win.
And listen, this is an opportunity for both of these teams. One of them is going to take the dub. Let's find out who is going to close it out. So once again, let's send it back over to Hazza and Cairo.
The Cider map coming up. Split. Both teams off the back of a win. Giant X, there's a lot more dramatic than Navi's against Apex, but when you consider those three teams towards the bottom of the group right now, this one is so important to give yourself a chance for playoffs, especially for GX, brought back down to earth against a team at a similar level, yet still the possibility they walk out of this day 0-3.
Last week, both teams got to a decider map. It's first time in Split 1. But the other thing you've got to consider, Hazza, NAVI was able to win theirs. Giant X haven't been able to win against Heretics. Weren't able to close it out. It went back to how things usually were. Is it going to be the same thing right now for GX as they start on the attack?
Already presence put towards A. Stun ready. Runner the one holding on to it, up into ramp. GX searching for their first pistol since Fracture. NAVI in a brilliant position to execute on order yet again, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. Koala in the heavens, supported by Angel coming in late, and so twice as many players already out of that first engagement, and the spike dropped, yet to be collected.
How do you even get back into it? I mean, looking through, yeah, but look at this, the Avengers assemble straight from the top rope, and Purple now into the back lines. He's done decent chip damage.
And he has time on his side. Arcros won't collect information of his position. The paranoia as well, half a chance, but Hero holding on, has the info. And if you were going to use a near sight, Vents is probably the last place to find effectiveness from it.
Worst part is, right, if you peek in towards getting that spike, you're probably going to be seen by the players below. With that being said, though, NAVI win that pistol round.
Another pistol round for them in this series. As I already mentioned, that's now their fourth. GX only picking up one in the second half of Fracture. Momentum is so important. I think for both of these teams, it has been a mental battle at times, getting used to the environment, especially for NAVI. Players like Koala Noob who've had to travel across the Atlantic to get here with a completely different lifestyle for him now in Berlin. Starting as he means to go on from that pistol, and well, GX, as they do continue onwards, it's an aggressive piece which falls flat very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is falling flat all across the map. Players looking to, I guess, get engagements, but it's easily dealt with for right now for NAVI. An in-zone flawless.
Another in-zone flawless bonus round for them as well. It was the exact same way that Pearl started, if you recall back to how that one went.
Yeah.
Pistol in the first half.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, well, listen, we can just sweep that under the rug for a minute. Well, hopefully we can sweep it under the rug and not have to think about it, because right now the momentum looks good for NAVI. An anti-eco flawless puts the bonus round into a really hot contention when you look at this buy. GX need to be careful how they move around this map.
Focus on mid again, and Ruxic already spotting Tomasi jumping from market. Respect given by GX in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that worries me right now with this bonus round, right, is Heretics were able to convert it last time GX started on the attack, and also to compound that point, I mean, GX were only able to win 2 rounds overall on their attack last time.
The last 2 rounds of the heart.
Exactly. And it seems like NAVI have a great read on what GX want to do right now. Look at the player positioning, right, in terms of where NAVI are setting up.
Exactly what Hypok was talking about on the desk as well. You may not have changed up the comp, but in terms of the macro, I mean, little time really to stress the details to remedy this attack side, and so they go into a loaded A site. Plenty of Na'Vi bodies here, black and yellow shirts to help support. Koala off the back of Ruxic with his utility in tandem. The Paranoia could have just set up for yet another kill instead. It is the Vice Wall, which has caught West Side. The Tether has noted his position. The spam, fortunately enough, though, has not landed. 20 seconds.
Yeah, look at NAVI, though. They're setting up a crossfire, a lovely activation on the Arc Crows. They're happy to give up Heaven. They know GX have to try and come through a choke point.
10 seconds left.
And it's another bonus converted against Giant X.
And while I feel like Giant X have brought some nice ideas to the table in terms of how they want to open up rounds, prime example would have been in round number 2 when they were up against the anti-eco. Like, putting down a smoke, you've got a player that can TP in, maybe you're throwing a breach flash on it as well. Purpo also has the shadow step as well as Tamasi. But then you come into a round like this, the full gun round, and it just doesn't feel like there's all too much thought behind it. It's very direct, it's very straightforward, and Na'Vi are reading that all too easily after the initial engagement in mid when you don't actually take that space away.
Towards this round, GX are going to put their focus in mid. So are NAVI. 6 players in total. And NAVI are being very aggressive in how they're peeking into this one.
An initial drone not really getting the value either. Aim shot out in the open. Confident as ever. Can't blame the guy because GX have just not been punishing it. They are always dropping in these early engagements.
Same time though, NAVI, they must have heard that TP from the Omen, so they're going to re-clear his space. And, well, Purple gives away another pick towards NAVI. They did have control of main, but instead repositioning on the site, looking to brawl.
Angel the first of those bodies that drops. Can there get any better than this? No! GX, a volley of kills. 3 back from them to stop NAVI going any more than just their 3rd round. This be a little bit out of character. GX looking for a foothold. Ruxic does take 1 back, so it's a 2-on-2. And as isolated as Hero feels with the stun, the players reposition without the open plant. GX a grouped up pillar. And Hero's just going to dispatch them both.
GX are in the prime position to go and deal with the round. Again, they let go of another advantageous spot with a spike down and time to play with. I understand they're forced to play on the site, but it's not even as if they put NAVI in a position where they're forced to fight, where they swing out. They peek Hero.
They do peek Hero, and Hero just holds the line. I can feel the frustration coming across from you there. They're getting away with bloody murder.
Yeah, they are getting away with murder, but the point is, though, it's mistakes that aren't being forced out by NAVI.
Got to go hunting for kills in those situations sometimes, but GX, we come back to it once again. The narrative of just not being able to build upon those individuals, the system they set up, the change in identity, this time, of course, Tamasi on the Yoru where it was Cloud before.
Same time, though, a move towards a full setup here for Hero. Spamming out, can't quite find what he's wanting, and while NAVI have went and been proactive and cleared things out, now they get a read towards A.
Having a bit of a poke through the cage, left unanswered. There's a paranoia for the site execution, but tower's where the duel goes down. It's Koala Noob's showstopper, which is put to rest early. The fuse cut short. Westside with a double. Still, GX in control by one player, but they haven't yet hit the site. Look at the control, which Na'Vi currently hold on to. Two players still playing from elbow. One of them, Xiao, trying to walk his way out from screens to support Hero. Doesn't need it! Hero with a double.
Spike down A.
And Westside left by himself, scratching his head, wondering, how have I found myself in a solo position yet again?
I think we're all scratching our heads and thinking about that. Navi closing it out, yet to have an answer from GX. Same on the last map and the start.
Same on the last two maps, because Fracture began, Na'Vi 5-1. Second map, Na'Vi 7-0. Split, Na'Vi 5-0. Again, it takes a little while for GX to get into these maps, and it goes back to the discussion I had right at the beginning of this series as well, in terms of the sides that they've been starting on. When you look back at what the history is, before the Heretics game, they had chosen to start on defense 5 out of 5 times. And now coming into this veto, they didn't get the choice of attack here, but this is where they've been beginning a lot, trying to maybe get the worst of it out the way early.
And I think for me as well, the other thing to consider is this is now GX's most played map, right? And it keeps coming up in the veto time and time again. So like, my question is more like, what else are we worried about playing, right? Like, what does a map pool look like? Because Split keeps coming up. You've only been able to win it once. Like, I understand that we're not, like, GX aren't Heretics, GX aren't, like, Vitality or Fnatic, who are in hot form right now, but, like, as a general, you've got to hold them to a certain standard, and GX, for me, are just not showing enough for a top-tier team.
Na'Vi, on the other hand, showing the value of their individuals. Combined with all of the rest, Hero and Ruxic, the two anchors yet to register a death so far in this map. It was Ruxic who stepped up massively against Apex on the closing one there. As into this half-buy of sorts from GX, they're looking to put him under further pressure. He's managed to disengage for now, and the paranoia only helping to do so further, and there is support for Na'Vi now.
Yeah, Seas is brilliantly placed. Xiao getting one, but there is a trade on to Angels. Now Navi comes straight back in. Spike completely lost, completely cold. And how did GX get back up towards Heaven to collect that?
Well, Puppo has the ult, so that's one way to do it, and he's going to quickly snatch it back. Last time we saw this 2-on-2, it was a similar setup from GX. Got to be aware of the walkout spawn, and the cam has checked it this time.
Players now walking to swing out towards CT rather than getting the spike down. And it's the same thing as last time. Hero gets a double kill after GX peeked towards CT.
And he's still yet to die. He has not died so far yet in this map. Whether it's his site that they hit or a retake situation, the spike didn't even go down here, Cairo. As Hero gets another couple of kills, now has the Steel Garden, as well as this Cosmic Divide. Tools for a potential retake, as GX have a couple of their own, which could be huge in gaining access early, and that looks like what we're going to get now that the rifles are back out.
I mean, it was around about the 7th round last time on Peril that we saw. It is a 7th round before we saw GX answer back, and it was the ultimates to help do so. I don't know how Angels managed to survive shooting out that cam there.
I know that Jack Igo was giving away bundles for every time that he was Angel was having an opening death. But I think so far this series, you know, his wallet is safe for now.
I'd agree with that.
He's been doing a pretty damn good job at just collecting info, and maybe that's GX not punishing it, but right now they do have a couple of these ults queued up to hit the A site. The first is the Yoru, and well, it's only just spotted a player making that cross towards elbow, and Koala gets away with the kill.
Yeah, and this is something that's been really good from Navi. The protocols, being able to play off site. GX have got onto it, but Spike's still in Heaven. They've completely left it. The Breach was left trying to use the Rolling Thunder, and calamity right now for Giant X as Navi look to deal with them. Cloud bringing it back to 2v1.
But where have we seen this before, Cairo? Hero to close another round from a similar position. 7-0 as it was on Pearl. That ended a 9-3 half, but coming on to what will be another eco round, even with the max loss bonus for Giant X, you need to give yourself a platform because very quickly the ground is falling from beneath their feet on what I can say is probably the second or third map so far this stage I've seen a similar thing happen.
I would
Third or fourth.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at like that first split, the kickoff, and how that happened. Like Giant X looked so much better. They were winning consistently up towards 8 or 9 rounds, and since we've got into this next split, into split 1, they have looked as if they've had a massive performance drop-off, whether that's because of the group that they're in and there's more scrutiny on them. But they're playing against NAVI right now, and it's the same thing again.
While the Noob's operator, coming into this series, he was 30-10 for op kills versus op deaths. Almost all of those deaths being dedicated ops. You know, like, you have to try and find a way to clear this guy, or he will make a huge problem of it. GX into the late round once again, and you're hitting another stacked site. NAVI are so prepared for this. The utility is there. They'll be ready for the flood-out elbow when it comes, but that's if you don't already stop them in tower.
I mean, Angel's just walked out in towards main and got a pick as all players were looking towards heaven. And again, NAVI are happy to give this up. They're playing towards CT. And GX look as if they're scratching their head for a way to get onto the site.
One enemy remaining.
Hero again. Always this guy at the end of the round. But so many fates already settled as that will be his first death on split. Still a 3 versus 1 for Cloud to try and digest, and he's got no time or options. Forced to run into the gunfire again as Angel adds number 8, NAVI, claiming the gun round.
But there's the same issues that we've seen from Giant X time and time again, right? Like, they're doing the same execute, and there's no changes, right? Like, going through heaven, trying to bust out onto the site, and the protocols every single time from NAVI are good, and it comes back to that point you were making earlier about the NAVI podcast.
Shout out to the NAVI podcast, man. You know, but it's a valid point you raise. These things take time.
Yeah.
It has been a process for this roster. If you expect instant results with player changes, then you're gravely mistaken. That is not the story we've seen of the stage so far. Given a little bit more to work. GX coming out the back of matches against top contenders. Now NAVI seeming to fit the mold of that themselves. Hero with 2 more kills on a site hold. A story which is constantly repeated as we flick through the pages. It's the same wall of text as the wall of 5 players stand between Westside and a miracle, which just isn't happening today, tomorrow, or anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly right. And now, like, where do you start to find a way to come back into this game? Because right there, we saw the Armageddon used. We saw different pieces trying to be forced forward. And again, it feels as if you're banging your fist against the door, trying to wait for an answer. And right now, GX's fist is bloodied.
There's just no engagement in the ebb and flow for me.
Yeah.
It just feels so one-dimensional, round after round. Okay, we have a little look mid at the start, and that's exactly the same look we're going to get from GX here. There's always a counter, and this time it comes in the form of Koala. First picked up, even Angel winning against the Stinger close range. Nothing going GX's way. As the forces try and regroup with the ragtag weapons that they've got. A couple rifles, if anything. They do eventually gain some ground, but it's in spite of the fights in middle, rather than as a consequence of them.
Yeah. I mean, right now, two players like sitting in heaven for GX, while you're seeing Purple go and exploring the other side of the map. But again, like we speak about directionless. Like, what are GX thinking? Like, sure, we're waiting to see what Purple is going to find out, but at the same time, they're not doing anything to force out and Navi into positions that they want, force rotates, etc. And the spike's going in towards spawn.
Make sure that they clear out the garden. That's where Ruxik's currently holding on to the op. Xiao that ends up getting spotted, but now where do you go? Okay, you're in defender spawn. We've still got Purple in tower, but you have to win these fights. And so it's into the meat grinder that GX go. Purple left chasing. Doesn't have his ult this time to try and pick up that precious cargo. And so Koala releases the nade and pulls the pin on what is a round done and over with. A foregone conclusion, as many of these have been. It's cool to make that play and say, yeah, let's run in spawn, but you can't plant the spike there. And I think that's the realization that needs to be made. It's another 10-0 drubbing in the first few rounds.
Well, it was the last couple of rounds against Heretics that the GX were managed to win and gave themselves a lifeline in what was ultimately the biggest comeback that we've ever seen. And Navi actually calling, sorry, it's not Navi, it's Giant X are actually going to call a timeout here.
Oh, you bloody hope so.
Yeah, exactly. Need it.
So for the second map in a row of Split, Giant X find themselves 10 rounds down with 10 rounds played. All of this complimentary to Navi and how they've set up. I think it's hard to say that they've put a foot wrong at times. Hero 15-1 is exemplary of that. You wanted to see Pips and fuming, and this would be it.
What are you even saying to the players right now as well, right? Like, I think everything has just been going wrong, right? You need a mental reset completely.
The last thing you want to see is a disconnect between the coaching staff and the players, because as soon as that happens, then the rift is only going to grow. You have to try and find a way to give them some confidence. It is one round at a time. Cloud inspired the comeback last time out versus Heretics, some of this region's best, and in terms of last year, the best that we had as far as the international stage are concerned. Navi on the hunt to try and collect one of those playoff spots and hopefully Masters later down the line. This gun buy is everything.
I think for me, coming from last week into this one, Navi look as if they're starting to build and on good momentum. Giant X, on the other hand, look as if they're letting it slip. Towards mid, Navi look to go. There's a few players from Giant X there as well.
Ruxik's op and Koala Noob by his side. Repositions, so Ruxik there, but he will group back up towards B.
You hear the utility obviously going off as well, as all the rifles begin to fire. At the same time, Giant X haven't committed anything, and look at Navi. With so many bodies towards this B side, you're thinking they have to be proactive.
This is one of the ways to create that pressure, scaling towards A with the tools that you have, Purpo smokes, the cages, but it all comes back to that mid-duel yet again, and it's been one-way traffic. Ruxik given the green light on yet another op kill, and while Tamazi will have embedded himself within the mailroom.
And I think for me, right now, like you're seeing Navi's game plan at work. They're fighting B, they're fighting mid, but they're not fighting towards A. And Giant X are thinking that's a good sign, but that they're playing into Navi's game plan.
3 players here again. And with ults as well. Every single player towards this side of the map has a tool to work with.
This is the same round we've seen many times before. What's different for Giant X?
Steel Garden comes out, Showstopper available. Doesn't look like anything's changed, Cairo. I'm concerned for GX right now. In fact, I'm terrified. The utility seems to be a little bit better as Navi are hounded down towards the back of the site, but time is low. Just like you say, there isn't enough. Any time would be great, but like you say, I don't think GX know what to do with it. It's Tamazi, the last one left. He needs to get the spike, but where is it? Heaven. It has been for the last 3 rounds.
Yeah, right now Giant X are in hell. And I don't mean that. I don't mean the call out or any part of the map. I mean quite literally they are 11-0 down. If we move into the next half and Navi win pistol and anti-eco, it's all over.
Yeah.
And again, like we've spoken about it, right? Fight B, fight mid. That's what Navi are doing. We're not seeing anything different. Please show me something different.
Please, please. No, I know what you mean. Look, people were saying coming into this one, there was potential for Mud Valorant, but this feels more like Groundhog Day, the way that things are consistently repeating for Giant X. And as nice as it's been for NAVI, when push comes to shove, GX have not been up to par. A little play into Koala. He does have the shorty inside this smoke though, and so really, the value isn't gained. He's not gonna get cleared. It's another direct sight hit. And Hero, fully blinded, has walked away with murder.
Yeah.
And they're still not past the post, right? Tomasi's the only one in sight. He has 32 HP. He's dead. Salvos drop, and what happens? Koala inside the smoke with the shorty getting at least one back, but there's twice as many players. The last one left to West side, as he always has been. 12-0 NAVI. As good as the half looked from them, that is maybe the poorest half that I might have seen, and we saw another 12-0.
Yeah, we did. But with that being said, though, Hazard, there is a lot to come back from this one. We'll need overtime and a Giant X miracle. We'll see what happens on the next half.
For the defuse to come on through, the time ticking down. All you need to find is one headshot. Might just be able to clutch this one out and send them to the grand final.
It's all left on Vanya's shoulders.
There's one way to do it. That is the way to do it.
I know it's only our second week in VCT EMEA, but it's another 12-0. I wasn't expecting to find myself in this position once, let alone twice. From that BBL Liquid game to this one, and from that last GX performance to this one, it's the same stat again, and it's actually bad that I knew what that stat was, because it's not the first time it's been raised. The last 13-0 in EMEA was back in 2022. For the new viewer, they're probably thinking, what's an Oglu? Isn't that what Eskimos live in?
Oh, mate, that was poor from you, but I agree. If I had a nickel for every single time that we'd been in this position, I would have two. It's pretty weird that we've been in this position twice in 2 weeks.
What, in 3 series? God forbid. Can NAVI see it over the line? It's Koala Noob again. The most first blood success rate of the top 5 duelists, and he's going to keep doing it. Hero with 2 more kills, as it's been said multiple times. Purpo was the last player left on B. It's happening before our very eyes. A Westside 1vX, but this time it's to stop pure embarrassment.
It's been a similar storyline, time and time again, week to week. GX are looking down the barrel of a 13-0, and NAVI are the ones to deliver it.
NAVI with the first 13-0 in VCT EMEA since 2022. And as good as GX had looked in spells throughout not just the last series, but this one as well, especially how things started out on Fracture, they have been absolutely humiliated. And calling back to all those years ago, it finally feels like NAVI are starting to build towards the kind of form which lands them at further events.
And I think as well, like we were talking about strengths of schedule, etc., coming into this map, and you were thinking, right, well, this is the match where GX can build from it and move into further weeks, like the Apex game, that they then build on that. But like after the first map, I had hope, but second and third, it was quickly stolen away. NAVI looked like they could be the real deal, and players are turning up when they're needed at the right time.